stimulus was passed in early 2008, $800+ billion, a gargantuan expenditure to respond to a huge economic problem, conditioned in part, Congressman, on the promise, or at least the prediction, that it would keep unemployment at or below 8 or 8.5%. We're close to 10, if not actually in excess of that. Your reaction to the stimulus vote, you voted for it, and where we are today, which is pretty economically bleak.
Yeah, it was, of course, the second stimulus. The first one was about $250 billion under George Bush in 2008. Second, on the $780 billion, it was actually that wasn't all expenditure. About $200+ billion was tax cut. As to the expenditure, yeah, the Obama administration, as I've said, made a mistake. They got angry when I said it. I said I thought it was dumb for them to say it, and they never should have predicted that unemployment was going to stay below a certain level. I think it is very clear that unemployment is less than it would have been had we not done the stimulus bill. And I do know that there are police officers on the streets of New Bedford and Fall River. I was in Fall River yesterday, or in Westport, with the mayor of Fall River, talking about the additional police and firefighters he has. In fact, if you look at the economic statistics, recently, the private sector is now adding jobs at too slow a rate. The public sector is where the jobs are being lost. Actually, some of my conservative friends should be happy we're getting fewer government jobs and more private sector jobs. I regret the loss of police officers, firefighters, teachers, public works employees. So I think the economic recovery bill has made things less bad than they were. If you compare the statistics now to where they were before the president took office, that's a problem. But I think the administration made a terrible mistake by predicting that it would be less. By the way, there are Superfund sites going forward in the district that I'm trying to represent again that were funded by the stimulus. There's a highway project we're funding from the stimulus, which is leading to the expansion in Freetown of the Meditech of new jobs. So yes, it's done some good. It hasn't reached the level that the administration predicted, and the mistake was to predict it.
Sean Bielat, for response to the stimulus and the either absence or presence of positive effects.
Well, we've already seen that we have now had more quarters of unemployment in excess of 9.5% than we have at any period since the Depression. I wouldn't call that a success. I think what we need to do is put money back in people's pockets, and the way we do that is immediate reductions in income tax withholding. Instead of having the government parcel out to favored congressmen and senators public works projects that may or may not be necessary, and hope that down the road, maybe in 2 or 3 years when the projects get on contract, that money makes its way into the economy, we should give money back directly to people who will make decisions about what they want to do with those funds, whether it's buy a new TV, invest in a college fund, pay off a credit card, whatever the case may be. That's part one. Part two is we need to reduce the regulatory burden, all these new regulations that are coming out and that are hurting small business. I've been all over this district talking to small business owners who have said, you know, I could hire 1 or 2 or 3 more employees right now, but I don't know how much it's going to cost me. I don't know what my tax rate's going to be. I don't know how much the burden of this new IRS 1099 requirement that requires anybody buying more than $600, any business buying more than $600 to file tax forms for each purchase. And if you're a small business owner, now you have to hire a tax accountant instead of a new employee who can help grow your business. And so we're seeing these things come out of Washington. People who are just blind to what it takes to grow a business, people who don't understand because they haven't been in the private sector for so long. Career politicians get out of touch. Career politicians who haven't spent any time in a business, growing it, keeping people employed, creating jobs, they're bound to make mistakes, and that's why we need more people in Congress with a business background. I've been in business the past several years. I know what it takes to keep a company going, to keep a company growing, to keep it vibrant. We need more people with that sort of experience in Washington because they're going to make better decisions. They're going to allow people to keep their money, to invest it as they see fit, and ultimately to help create jobs.
Well, I differ with that in 2 points. First of all, yes, I want people to have more money in their pockets, but that's not going to clean up New Bedford Harbor. That's not going to build commuter rail from New Bedford and Fall River to Boston. That's not going to expand a highway in Route 79 in Fall River that's going to lead to more jobs. It's not going to put out fires or arrest people who've committed crimes. So there needs to be a mix. And much of what we do is to use the public funds to create a job situation for the private funds. Beyond that, in terms of let business make the decision, yes, we want them to make some decisions. Mr. Bielat gave one specific, and I agree with it. That 1099 requirement in the health care bill was a mistake. I am determined to make sure that we repeal it. But he criticized the financial regulations bill. Well, yeah, we now regulate derivatives. We did not regulate derivatives. We let AIG get out of line. we did not regulate mortgages. I tried with some others in 2004 to pass laws to ban the predatory lending. The Republicans had the deregulatory philosophy. It wasn't until 2007, when I first became chairman of the committee, that we were able to do that. On consumers, yes, we did pass new rules that will say you can't abuse people on credit cards. You can't abuse people on overdraft. You can't have payday lenders that hook people and they pay over and over and over again. So I think you have to be specific. Some regulations were a mistake. BP did not know better than the people who should have regulated them. AIG did not know better. So I think you have to differentiate. And across the board, regulation's no good and leave it to the businessmen. I think you need an intelligent mix, and you have to go regulation by regulation, issue by issue to decide that.
Congressman Barney Frank is here. Challenger Sean Bielat. Quickly, because we have to get another question.
Yeah, I don't think it's an all or one, and nor did I present it that way. There are certainly projects that are necessary that will ultimately enable economic growth. There are certainly regulations that are necessary that will ultimately enable businesses to succeed. The question is one of mix, and the question is one of a bias towards which direction do you go. I favor a smaller government and people more individually accountable for their own money and actions, and more able then to make good decisions for themselves.